Democrats simply don't have the cold-heartedness necessary to see people suffering and just say, let them eat cake.
Yeah, but then
they are not the types that
they voted repeatedly to do it. I mean, you just heard Democrats.
And what was Donald Trump doing in the meantime?
He doesn't have a vote in the legislature.
No, he's the president of the United States, the most powerful president with Republicans in my lifetime, Scott.
In this clip from Abby Phillip's CNN show, guest hosted in this case by Sarah Seidner, Ana Navarro goes up against MAGA troll Scott Jennings with James Clyburn, Brianna Lyman, and Dylan Douglas to talk about the ending of the government shutdown and whether or not this was a missed opportunity for Democrats or just a welcome return to normal for the country. Why don't we take a look at this clip together? I'm going to have my opinions to add. That's what I'm doing here. And then I want to know what you think in the comments. Let's check it out.
A welcome ending or a missed opportunity. It depends on who you ask. 7 Democrats and 1 independent joined Republican senators and just voted to end the shutdown. The deal still needs, of course, to pass the House, but it will fund the government until the end of January. It will not, however, extend health care subsidies. That will be set for a date for a vote at a later time to extend those subsidies, potentially in December. Some major backlash is emerging inside the Democratic Party. Those 8 senators are defending their vote now.
This was the reality. SNAP recipients suffering, nothing happening on ACA. So from suffering and no path, we've now got robust benefits and a path.
Staying in a shutdown mode was not getting us anywhere.
If the battle plan isn't working, you change the battle plan. You try another tactic, especially if what's happening is danger to your troops.
It's like, take the win. You know, we had an election and it went well on Tuesday. You want to overplay your hand.
But there are plenty of Democrats who disagree with those sentiments. For example, J.B. Pritzker says it wasn't a deal, but an empty promise. Congressman Seth Moulton said caving now makes no sense. California Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and says America deserves better. Senator Chris Murphy added submission emboldens the tyrant. And Congressman Ro Khanna says Chuck Schumer is no longer effective and needs to be replaced. And then you have Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying working people want leaders whose word means something. We have Congressman Jim Clyburn here at the table tonight. His new book comes out tomorrow. It's titled The First 8. I have a copy of it here with me. I will have you sign it later. We will get to the book in just a bit. Sure. But first, this argument between Democrats. And I guess the big question is, if you didn't get the one thing that you were holding out for, what was it all for?
Well, I think we saw some things that we have not talked about that did happen. We saw what has happened with SNAP. I think that came out of this. What is happening with the WIC, Women, Infant, and Children programs. So some things did happen. Now, on this particular issue, I think that's a real problem because you say you change your tactics. What are you changing to? It's a little bit like me hearing from my Republican friends, as I've been hearing for years, that we've got this plan. What kind of health care plan you have? They've never put one on the table. So if you got a new tactic, what's the new tactic? That's what causes me some pause about this plan. Now, if you promise a vote, is the vote on a bill or is the vote on the procedure? If you're promising me a vote on the bill, that means you're going to give me the 13 votes that you've got that I can get past the 60-vote filibuster. Now, if you're doing that and you will allow a direct vote, then I may have some consideration for it. Because I do believe if you get to the 51, there are 2 or 3 Republicans that see the value in these tax credits.
Of the subsidies. Would you have voted along with the 7 Democrats that voted to go ahead and reopen the government and say, okay, you know what, we're not going to worry about the health care subsidies right this second. We just want to get this open?
Absolutely not. Not from what I've seen. They may know something I don't know. It may be that they have a promise for 13 votes to get beyond the filibuster. I have not heard that. If they had that kind of a promise, that's one thing I might take a look at. But if they don't have that as a promise, absolutely not. I would not vote for this.
Look, with all due respect to James Clyburn, who seems like a man of integrity, what good is a Republican promise? Like, we're wheeling and dealing on Republican promises?
Scott, I'm going to let you jump in here. But first, I want to let everyone hear from the Speaker of the House, who Jake Tapper talked to about this very issue, about whether or not this was going to be a vote, guaranteed vote, before the ACA subsidies end up ending. Let me let you hear what Mike Johnson had to say.
Would you bring it up?
Well, the bill that's going to pass
to extend the subsidies, that later vote.
I can't commit to anything that hasn't even passed through the Senate yet.
Will you have a vote on the issue as your 13 Republicans, frontline Republicans, people that you're the speaker because of them?
Yes.
They're in districts that are vulnerable.
Sure.
Will you have a vote so they can vote?
The very people that you were citing in the letter believe we have to have a real reform.
So you're not committing to bringing up a bill that deals with the Obamacare subsidies before they expire?
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it.
He's not committing to it or not committing to it. And this is the very thing that Democrats were afraid of, that if they capitulated, that the subsidies would not be dealt with. How do you respond to that? There are a lot of people worried about how expensive their health care is about to get.
Okay, so just before we listen to Scott Jennings here, every time he opens his mouth, it's like a fire hose filled with bologna juice. So I'm going to play it all the way through and let him have his comprehensive whatever, and then I'm going to do it again and go point by point.
Yeah, first of all, Congressman, congrats on your book. Honored to be with you tonight. Second, look, one thing that came out of this entire fight is that the healthcare system in this country Obamacare has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that. Like, if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies, or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
But I think.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna play that again. I'm gonna stop and start.
Yeah, first of all, Congressman, congrats on your book. Honored to be with you tonight.
Bullshit. Scott Jennings right out of the gate, setting the stage for like, I'm a serious person, Senator. Congratulations. What I'm about to say is weighty and meaningful, and everyone should take me seriously. It's BS.
Second, look, one thing that came out of this entire fight is that the healthcare system in this country Obamacare has been exposed as a complete and utter failure.
Okay, he actually said two things there. Healthcare in this country, and then he corrected himself and said Obamacare, right? Obamacare isn't, I don't think they're the same thing at all. I think healthcare in this country is and has been broken, and Obamacare did a lot to fix certain pain points or improve certain pain points, such as pre-existing conditions and making coverage available to millions of Americans who didn't have it at all, but it didn't, air quotes, fix our healthcare system in this country. He, Scott Jennings, wants to demonize Obamacare and lump it all together because one of the things on the right is the abolition, the rolling back of Obamacare altogether.
We all know it now. Everybody admits it.
This is an old device of Sauron's. Oh, I'm sorry, of Scott Jennings. We all know it. Everybody agrees. We don't know it. Nobody's admitted it. Who's admitted it? What are you talking about?
The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer.
Democrats are willing to make people suffer? The president of the United States, your guy, Donald J. Trump, was the one saying we're going to cut programs, we're going to fire people. We're going to specifically fire Democrat people. We're going to fire Democrat programs. This whole standoff wouldn't have even happened except for the one big, beautiful bill cut these programs.
And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned.
So it's the Democrats whose political tactics are designed to cause suffering in the American people? It feels like the One Big Beautiful Bill was designed to hurt the American people. That's what cut these programs in the first place. And the other thing is, you heard from Democrat after Democrat that this was the Democrats we just heard from are the defectors, explaining, trying to justify why they defected. Well, I couldn't help but vote. I couldn't take the suffering anymore. That's not the Democratic Party admitting that their policy was designed to hurt people. That was the 8 defectors who aren't running for re-election, I might add. What a coincidence. Sort of making apologies for themselves. Well, I just couldn't take the suffering. It's my constituents. I couldn't do it anymore.
About cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it.
That's pretty rich. But that also falls on the scale of like, it's not happening. Okay, maybe it's happening, but we're not causing it. Okay, maybe we're causing it, but there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, well, we'll fix it, but you got to give us time. We'll come up with another plan later. Trust us.
But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference.
Kadoy! Come on, Scott Jennings. I mean, of course. The problem is the insurance companies. The only plan, and I'm putting huge air quotes on that has been floated, is some sort of like Trump accounts where you get money in your bank that you're on your own. So we're gonna dismantle the ACA. It's the Wild West again, and everybody gets a little savings account that they can like only use for healthcare. And who do you think we're going to pay with that money? The insurance, nothing changes except you're taking the government out of the equation, the government that has bargaining power and regulatory power, I might add, that they're not using on these insurance agencies. We need a single payer system like every other first world country in the world has. That's been clear for a long time. People have been saying it from the left in various forms for decades, and the Republicans are finally now being like, okay, well, maybe this is broken, but we're going to come up with a better plan. There's no plan. There's never been a plan. This is not they don't have policies. Their only policy is vacuuming up all the money and shooting it straight upwards to the top 1%. And that has been the plan since Reagan. I mean, and look how far they're crushing it. But they keep talking like Scott Jennings does. Well, we need to think about it. I mean, as though they are playing in a bipartisan way. The Republican Party is not and hasn't been for at least 10 years now willing to come to the table in good faith. The Democrats are playing basketball and the Republicans are playing knife fight. And the Democrats keep trying to play basketball. It's like they're not playing basketball, dude. They're trying to knife you.
I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that.
Oh, can you? Can you see that?
Like, if we're going to spend this amount of money.
This is another golden classic. If we're going to spend this amount of money, like, there's not enough money. I mean, we can't afford it. How are we going to pay for this? We have $1 trillion military budget. The military didn't even ask for that much. We can't simultaneously be the richest country in the world and broke. Right? It's like they keep talking about, they're like, well, we're the richest country in the world. We're broke. We can't pay for it. How are we going to pay for it? That's the government's job.
Should we be just giving it to insurance companies, or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
But I think.
Okay. I mean, so of course, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, writing checks to insurance companies is what has gotten us where we are now. We need a single payer system. And I know, like back when Obama was talking about this, you can't just snap your fingers and change it's a big undertaking, and it takes thought and preparation and clear heads and bipartisanship and working together in good faith to make a change like this. But it's the change that needs to happen, and it's long, long, long overdue, and everybody would love it. Maybe not the people who are directly benefiting from the broken system right now, but American citizens, including the rich, would love it. If you ask people if you want to take away their Medicare, people get really upset. Hell no, they don't want to take, right? It's Medicare for all. I think Bernie Sanders' branding of it is excellent. It's Medicare for all. You would love it. You would love it. It would be great. Canadians love it. MAGA loves to say, oh, well, the people in Britain and Canada, they hate it. They have to wait forever to get procedures. It's not true. They love it. They love that it comes right out of their taxes, and they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about an unforeseen medical expense coming up and bankrupting their entire family. Just not having to worry about it is worth it. I mean, and he loves to paint it like, if you want to talk about it, we'll figure it out. We being the Republicans. Scott Jennings is, I think, the most disingenuous person in this whole MAGA sphere today. I watch more of him because I watch a lot of this Abby Phillip show, but I think that may actually be true. It's just a masterclass. He's gotten so good at it. He does it without blinking. He does it with a straight face. He does it sitting right next to a seated senator. And, I'll say it again. The ACA is imperfect. It's not a fix to a fundamentally broken healthcare system. It keeps all the insurance companies in place, and the abuse is still in place, and the Republicans have been actively trying to eviscerate it and dismantle it since Trump took office the first time, since it was passed. It's kind of a miracle the thing was even passed. In order to pass it, they took their knives to it and they gutted some integral parts of it. But we need a single-payer system. A Republican like Scott Jennings coming on here, a MAGA Republican like Scott Jennings coming on here and saying, well, we're trying to figure out something better. They've had 15 years to figure out something better. They never put forth a plan. There's no plan. They keep talking like they're doing actual, legitimate work in the government, like they're trying to come up with policy. It's all culture wars and taking things away, rolling back freedoms, right? The Republicans roll back freedoms. They say they're trying to make things better by removing restrictions, but they're just deregulating corporate wealth and power.
I think what we saw also, what America saw, particularly people who were directly impacted and suffering, is they saw that Donald Trump does not give a damn. While people were going hungry, while federal workers were making lines that went round blocks, he was in Mar-a-Lago golfing or hosting lavish parties with seafood towers and caviar and champagne. Not at one point did he say, we have got to convene. I'm going to lead. I'm going to put Republicans and Democrats in a room around a table, like he did with Palestinians and Israelis. And we're going to craft a deal. We are all Americans and we have to figure this out. No, he just completely abdicated his duty to lead. And when he wasn't hosting a Great Gatsby party, he was giving $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to Argentina to bail out those people. Doesn't sound very America first to me. And so I think that put a light on the kind of precedent that people voted for.
Bam. Ana Navarro nails it. It's just crystal clear to anybody who's paying attention. Donald Trump doesn't care. Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself, right? People are literally worried about their SNAP benefits, not being able to feed their families, and he's building a ballroom. The eve of the expiration of that, he's throwing a Great Gatsby party, not just a lavish costume party. The theme was the Great Gatsby. And if you don't know that book, you should absolutely check it out. But it's about the sort of egregiousness of wealth and how it's uncaring for everybody else. It's just, you can't make it up. You cannot make it up. It's crystal clear that they don't care. And what's amazing is that MAGA Mike Johnson and MAGA Scott Jennings and these people keep coming on here and gaslighting us into trying to think that somehow they're the ones trying to make things better against the evil left, which is just trying to ruin it. What's the end game? What they're arguing that the left are trying to line their pockets? It's absurd. And it's gotten to the point now where things are painful enough on the ground that people are looking up and they're like, what's happening? And what they see is Donald Trump literally tearing down the White House to build a golden ballroom for himself. It's bonkers. It's bonkers.
With all respect, you cannot put on the American people that Democrats were the one that were hurting people, making this plight.
Who was casting the votes against opening the government? Democrats or Republicans?
Who was
casting the votes?
Scott, who was wanting to cut SNAP benefits?
Nobody.
Republicans
Republicans voted to fund SNAP 15 times.
SNAP benefits after 2 courts ruled that it was unallowed?
Republicans voted to fund SNAP 15 times. Democrats voted to defund it 15
and you talk
times.
About the affordable,
we had to get 8 to join us.
You talk about the Affordable Health Care Act. Okay,
it's terrible.
Landmark legislation is not perfect. We understand that Democrats, Republicans, independents, 70% of Americans, not Democrats, not just independents, 70% of Americans believe that they should increase those subsidies past the dead mark of December, the COVID era subsidy benefits. So it's a huge, huge thing that Democrats, Republicans, 70% agree with. And look, when it comes to the government shutdown, I was of the persuasion that to go for it, I didn't really get it. Democrats wanted a fight. They got a fight. Chuck Schumer, back in last year, didn't fight. He got a lot of flack for it, particularly in his home state of New York. So they wanted a fight, but they found a fight that was worth fighting with talking about the Affordable Health Care Act. People were with them. Democrats were leading in the polls. We won big on Tuesday.
That's what it was for, right? It was for the election, right?
Well, I think we should have kept going. What I don't understand, and which I would love others to help me out understand, I don't understand why we caved so soon when the American people seemed to be on our side.
Because the election ended. You just said it. It was for the election.
Listen,
the election ended.
I know a lot of Republicans. I know a lot of Democrats. They're cut from different cloths. Democrats simply don't have the cold-heartedness necessary to see people suffering and just say, let them eat cake.
Yeah, but then
they are not the types that
they voted repeatedly to do it. I mean, you just heard Democrats.
And what was Donald Trump doing in the meantime?
He doesn't have a vote in the legislature.
No, he's the president of the United States, the most powerful president with Republicans in my lifetime, Scott. He never once even told them, come back to Washington.
We just played
Democrat. You guys have been out of Washington for a month and a half.
Correct.
A month and a half.
We just played Democrat after Democrat admit that the Democratic plan to prolong the shutdown was causing, quote, suffering. That was their words, not mine. Democrats themselves realized the tactic of suffering was no longer something they could personally stomach. That was their party, not Republicans.
Only 7 Democrats voted for this.
8.
Not Democrat after Democrat. No.
He caucuses with the
There were
Democrats.
7.
Don't split hairs. He caucuses with the
And you're absolutely right. You're right.
Exactly.
Democrats did fold because Trump was wagering the American people's health, safety, and food security on politic games. And the Democrats, the one silver lining I see that we can be proud of as Democrats is we folded because we're the party of humility and humanity.
That's an interesting point from Ana Navarro, that somehow the Democrats are the party that cares, but they just don't have the cold-heartedness. The metaphor I used earlier was a basketball game where the Democrats are playing basketball and the Republicans are playing knife fight. And I think what she's saying is, the Democrats just don't have knife fight in them. They didn't get into the government to play knife fight. They got in, okay, the metaphor breaks down there, but they got into the government to govern, not to rip and run. And MAGA is all about rip and run. It's all about the cult of personality that is Donald Trump. And we're seeing genuine authoritarian stuff come out with Stephen Miller and this whole cast of characters. It's just getting more and more obscene and more fundamentally un-American. And it's clear, however you want to talk about third term, not third term, I think we're seeing Trump. There is a mental decline that is on vivid show, and that whole party is trying to decide how they're going to keep moving forward and hang on to power when inevitably they lose their cult of personality, their cult leader, Donald Trump, because he is in bad shape. And we are all seeing it happen in real time. But they don't want to let go of power. They're trying to rig the system so that they never have to worry about losing another election and turn this into, what you call it, an autocracy, you call it a theocracy, a Christian nationalist, whatever it is. It's a playbook, and they're scrambling to try and implement it while they still got this guy able to stand up in front of people and weave his magic spell of whatever it is. I have never understood it, and I still can't. But she may be right. I mean, she may be right that, in order to win this thing, Democrats are going to have to learn how to knife fight. And I think that there is an argument to be made that if that happens, then we've kind of lost the bigger, we might win a battle here and there, but we might lose the larger war. So You can look at a Gavin Newsom who's trying to fight fire with fire, and you can look at an AOC who's trying to clap back. Somewhere in there is a way of like, how do we navigate this new media environment that Donald Trump is so good at creating? This sort of race to the bottom media environment where people want a zinger and they want a sharp retort and they want someone to own the other side and somehow master that while also being able to take the high road and govern. And they feel kind of diametrically opposed. I think Zoran Mamdani ran a really interesting campaign in New York City with his concerted effort. It always, he smiles at the end of all of that big, genuine feeling, gleaming smile he puts on that, even SNL made fun of recently on one of their cold opens that they do about politics. But it's effective, and it's the sunny side of the street. So whether or not his policies work out, and I wish him the best of luck, it feels like he's taken the high road and sticking to the point, which is affordability. And that's what I think everybody is looking for. Ana Navarro made another excellent point there that what did Donald Trump do throughout all of this? Scott Jennings and Mike Johnson, they never want to talk about Trump. He's this huge invisible elephant that they just want to ignore. The Democrats, the demon Democrats. There is a demon. And he's sitting in an increasingly gilded White House. And he is, as she said, the most powerful president, certainly in modern history. And to say he has, he doesn't have a vote in the legislature. Come on, dude. It's like saying we're the richest country in the world, but we're broke. He's the most powerful president trying to consolidate executive power around the checks and balances, dissolving the checks and balances against the presidency. But what he can't do anything. What could he do? Because Donald Trump has no appetite for or aptitude in actual leadership. There's no leadership. It's a huge scam. It's a con game. It's a rip and run, and everybody knows it. Anyway, I may have had too much coffee before doing this one, but I had fun, and I really genuinely want to know what you think in the comments about this. Like, do we feel like the Democrats caved, that we had an opportunity to actually twist the Republicans' arm into guaranteeing an extension of these admittedly imperfect Band-Aid subsidies, which are not free or doesn't fix the system, but it would keep millions of Americans' health care prices from doubling, even tripling in some cases? Or was enough and we had to get things running again, and for better or for worse, it was time to get things going? And as James Clyburn said, there was some positive things. SNAP got funded, despite what Scott Jennings said. The Republicans are voted for it. The Republicans cut it. So we did get that funded for another year at least. That's going to keep food on millions of people's tables. Let me know what you think in the comments.